Welcome to Inside Economics. I'm Mark Sandy, the chief economist of Moody's Analytics, and welcome. This is a live podcast. Hey, guys.
Or in person, right? Are we live?
Oh,
Well, we are live here right
Here.
now.
Gotcha.
But not to the people watching.
it's live and in person, they're kind of, aren't they the same thing?
No.
No.
Oh, the way you said it. Oh, because when we have a podcast, normally we're live, but we're not in person. Now we're live and in person.
No, when we have a podcast, normally we are neither live nor in person.
Right.
We're recording it.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, wait. This is
We're recording
this
it
is
now,
not,
too.
Okay, this is not live.
Correct.
This is in person.
Right.
Oh, I
In
got
person
it.
podcast.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay. But it feels like I'm live and in person.
You look live to me.
We're off the rails already.
Yes.
All right. Well, okay, we're in person. We're not live. We're recording, and this is great.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Although I am hot. Are you not hot?
No, I feel good.
You feel good? Okay. Maybe because I got embarrassed there with the whole live in person thing, sweating a little bit.
Well, this is the first time we've all been in the same room.
Yeah, and we
This is the first time I've seen Ryan in person.
in 2.5
the
years.
pandemic, yep.
Yeah. And he got taller. We were discussing this before
Certainly.
we went in live.
You guys are shrinking.
No, wait. Hey, listener, look. Put the camera on Ryan. Who does he remind you of? It never dawned on me until I saw him walk in the room today. Who do you think?
17 years.
John McEnroe. Obviously a young version of John McEnroe, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, you look just like him. Maybe
I'll have to look it up.
It's the dude. Yeah.
I
Have
think
to
you're
look it
gonna
up.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head.
You're kind of irreverent, sort of irreverent, in a kind of quiet way. McEnroe is like irreverent in a loud way.
Yeah.
Yes.
He expresses
Yes.
irreverence. Ryan's got all kinds of looks and eye rolling.
Well, we're going to be talking about recession today, so maybe I'll channel my inner
Sean
McEnroe.
Yeah, there you go. And that is the topic of the podcast is recession odds. And of course, we've been debating this one a lot and discussing this a lot.
Oh, yeah.
The past few months, really since the beginning of the year. So this is how I thought we'd frame it. We each talk about our odds of recession over different kind of horizons. So next 6 months, we'll take the next 6 months. So between now and let's say March, April of next year. So kind of near term, and we'll talk about that. And I will say, I think when we had Alan Blinder on, the University of the Princeton University professor who was vice chair, we were talking that it's hard to imagine that we wouldn't have a near-term recession. If we were going to have a recession, it was going to be near-term, and now it feels very different than that. But we'll talk about that, and then we'll go to the 12-month horizon. Okay, so 1 year, so between now and September of next year, and then we'll go to 18 months. Let's say through early 2024, spring of 2024.
Gotcha.
18 months. Should we go longer than that? Maybe if we have time.
Well, anything longer than that, it's 100% probability.
You think so?
Well, anything longer than?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't
Not
we haven't
necessarily.
repealed the
Probabilities
business
can
cycle.
actually go down.
No, I think
longer.
they will go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So-
could.
so
But
maybe we
longer
should-
term, we haven't repealed the business
yeah,
cycle.
Yeah, at some point.
At some point.
Yeah, there's going to be a recession. That's what you meant. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Does that sound like a good?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. And before I do that though, let me ask you this. I don't look carefully at the consensus kind of forecast. At least I don't do it on a regular basis. Do you look at those?
Once in a while,
Once
because
in a while.
I don't like being influenced.
Influenced.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you seem like you might be, easily impressionable by. I'm
the only reason he has me
here.
Just a punching bag.
No, but if you look at consensus, what do you think consensus is for a recession at some point in the next 18 months? Based on, there's different flavors of recession and different people have different views on what that recession might look like and when. But what do you think? Consensus view at this point?
My guess would be 50-50.
50-50.
Kind of wishy-washy
50-50.
assumption.
Well, no, it's not. Well, 50% of economists say no. We'll make our way through. 50% say we're going in at some point, right?
Yeah.
That feels roughly right. Yeah.
Perhaps, yeah.
Oh, why do you mean?
Well, it's still a percentage, right? It's not just 50% say yes, 50% say no.
Yeah.
Everyone's coming up with a
Oh,
number
yeah, yeah,
still,
yeah.
right? So,
But if I'm looking at the distribution of economists and the
Yeah.
projections, and are we going into recession, Mr. or Ms. Economist? Half are saying yes, half are roughly saying no. It feels like, well, sort of.
yeah.
But I don't know
But-
of many places that have a forecast, like they're in their forecast, their baseline forecast is for a recession.
Yeah.
I mean, there's maybe one or two that I've heard of.
No, 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 no,
I
no, no.
think it's
no.
growing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
yeah.
growing?
The
Yeah.
investment banks, I think,
Oh.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
in particular.
If I look at consensus economics, for example, or focus economics,
Mm-hmm.
we use them, for consensus. And you can see in the 2023 GDP growth forecast a negative number or zero. I
Right,
consider that to be a
that's
recession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I don't know if it's quite half or there, but at least a third are, there. And you got, Bank of America, Fannie Mae, a bunch of institutions
Yeah.
saying that.
I don't know of anyone who's calling for a deep recession or a severe recession, right? Even those that are
Yeah, that's true.
predicting.
They're all small negatives.
They're all saying, yeah.
Zero, small negative,
Minus one.
minus. I didn't see -1. That
That would be big.
pretty big for a calendar year decline in GDP.
Oh, I was thinking peak to trough.
Oh, peak to
Okay,
trough.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Statistics game.
Oh,
Oh,
here we go.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
I didn't even think I was
I'm
going to do the
prepared.
statistics
I'm
game.
prepared.
I got a statistic though.
Okay.
lay it on us.
It's not really. I'm doing it backwards. I'm not going to give you the statistic. I'm going to ask you.
What did it? Oh,
What
so,
it,
okay.
yeah, what it is. It's like Jeopardy or something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Alex. Alex Trebek over here.
All right. What is the peak to trough decline, average peak to trough decline in GDP, real GDP, in the 12? There's been 12 recessions since World War II, I believe, right?
Yep.
Since World War II.
2%.
That's pretty good.
2.5.
2.5. Well, way to go.
Oh,
See this cowbell? This is. Where do we get the? This is from Tim, right? This is from Tim.
Daly.
Tim Daly, our buddy Tim Daly and the sales team. And these are custom made.
Yeah.
Custom made.
They're fantastic.
You want to ring it?
No, Chris got it. You
Oh,
ring
yeah,
it.
go- You ring it. Here you go.
What is this?
Oh no, I got to ring it for him.
There you
That
go.
actually has a good sound to it.
It does.
Yeah.
That's
Although
timber.
we all look a little scary, I think. So. You definitely look like John McEnroe in this picture. Yeah. Yeah. And I look even scarier than that. Yeah. But anyway, 2.5 percentage points. Peak to trough decline in GDP. Okay, here's the bonus question.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Okay. What is the peak to trough decline? And this is all quarterly, by the way, quarterly.
Okay.
On a quarterly basis, quarterly periodicity. I've got another one on a monthly basis, but okay. On a quarterly basis, what's the peak to trough decline in the financial crisis, the Great Recession? Began in first quarter of '08, extended through the second quarter of '09, a long recession.
Oh, gee.
4%.
Four.
Way to go.
Nice.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nicely
Good
done.
job. Okay, here's the
No collusion here, right?
No.
Now here's the bonus question. On a monthly basis, and this goes to Ryan's monthly GDP estimates.
Oh, so now I should get
You
this.
should know this. What is the peak to trough decline in GDP in the pandemic recession? In the pandemic recession,
Oh.
and it blows my mind. I'm not sure it's
Yeah.
right, but you did this. You constructed this statistic, so it's got.
Oh, it's right.
Yeah, it's got to be right.
Because we.
Yeah, peak to trough. So the peak was
they'll all add up.
February of
They all add up
2020.
to GDP, quarterly GDP.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so it's got to be right.
So it's February 2020. We cratered in March, April. I think April was the bottom. So really 2-month decline. So in that 2 months, what was the peak to trough decline in GDP?
It was something
Did
crazy.
we go double?
Something
did,
crazy.
Did we
It
go
was
double digits?
double digit.
I
Yeah.
guess I thought.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm trying to think.
You give up?
12%.
Pretty good. 15%. 15 percentage percent. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Employment
2 months.
also 15%.
Yeah.
We lost 22 million.
And we're not even sure if that was properly measured. right?
Exactly. Right.
Could be worse.
Could have
Yeah.
been, could have been a lot worse. Yeah. Okay. All right. But with that as a preface, let's talk about the probability of recession going forward next 6 months. So near term, and let me define terms. A recession is a broad-based, persistent decline in economic activity. Now, ultimately, it's determined by the Business Cycle Dating Committee of the National Bureau of Economic Research, a group of academic economists. But they use judgment, look like a plethora of data. But in my mind, you can't have a recession unless, and it's not broad based unless the job market is struggling unless we're losing jobs. We've got to be losing jobs on a consistent basis. Unemployment has to be moving north on a consistent basis. I think that's, well, do you agree with that? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 2 quarters of negative growth that everyone
Yeah.
talks about
Yeah.
is very concentrated in trade and in inventories. That's
Right.
not recession.
it doesn't feel like a
material.
recession. We created a lot of jobs and
Yeah.
employment actually declined. You know, it was
Yeah.
6% at the start of the year. We're 3.7. I think it was 6%. Was it? And 3.7 now. That's not consistent with. I don't know. I think we were 6 at the beginning of the year.
At the beginning of the year?
I think so.
Seems high.
High.
It does seem high. Now that I say it, but I think usually I get these like
Yeah, you're usually spot on.
spot on. Yeah.
And I can fact check you when.
Yeah. Can you fact check
yeah.
at some point when he's blathering over here
Yeah.
a little bit? You know, so give us some time
Yeah.
to check up on these statistics. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? The defining terms. I was defining terms.
Yeah.
So you got to have steadily declining employment, and let's say it's got to be 6 months more, you know, not 3 months, not 2 months. It's got to be 3 months.
So the
6 months.
pandemic was not a recession?
No. Well, okay,
It
good
really
point.
didn't meet their
Yeah.
definition.
It didn't.
Right.
Well,
Lasting
no,
more than a
it was
few
so
months.
severe,
It was
so broad
profound.
based.
That
That,
offset.
exactly.
that dimension of it blew out.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
cares if
Yeah.
it's 2 months?
Just
You know,
nitpicking.
the whole world fell apart. But that's a great point. No, that's a great point. We're saying it starts in the next 6 months, so
Okay.
it doesn't have to start next month. Probably, likely won't. But it at some point in the next 6 months, between now and let's say March of next year, April, the recession begins. Something like that. Okay, so what do you say? What is the probability in your mind,
Yeah.
Chris, of that?
I would say between 10 and 15%,
Ooh,
which is the historical average, right? That
Right.
the economy has been in recession going back to 1900. So was that an ooh because it's too high or too low?
it felt low.
Felt a little low.
Felt a little low to
For
me.
6
little low.
months.
6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you why, but after you tell me why you think it's 10 to 15%.
Okay.
Because I'm going to use exactly what you use on me all the time to explain why you're too low. Yeah.
I can't wait until we go to 18 months and see what the.
Oh, yeah. That's the crux of the matter, I
Yeah.
assume. Yeah.
So for me, to get into recession within the next 6 months, given where we are today with such a strong labor market, still a lot of firepower in terms of excess savings, means that there's some other shock that hits us within 6 months. So that's why I go back to the historical average.
Oh, interesting.
Something else must be happening within
Makes
that
sense.
period for us to get there.
Yeah, but don't you, this goes to my, why I think it's a little bit higher. Now, I want to know what yours probably, I'm not going to tell you mine until he tells me his. But mine's higher than yours, only because for the same logic, it's low, but it's higher because we're so vulnerable to that shock.
Right.
Right. It doesn't take a typical shock to push us in. Right. Even like that rail strike that was about to happen last
That could have
week.
done it.
That felt like that in a more typical time. That would be, okay. It's not great, but it's no big deal. But in this time, when supply chains are a mess, inflation is already high, people are already on edge. That would drive us in.
Okay, so you're assigning higher than 15% chance of some.
Yeah,
Major event
Yeah,
occurring
and I like
between now
the way
and-
you framed it. You're saying on average, if it was a typical year, on average, it's probably closer to 15 than 10. But let's say 10
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
15.
think it's somewhere in there,
Yeah,
yeah.
somewhere in there. I think that feels right. But I would put it at 20 because. And I'm sorry, I went ahead of you.
Oh, we're close. I was
know
25,
you're
30.
a little impressionable. So.
Oh.
Did I mess with your? Did I mess with your
No,
line? Yeah.
I would never change my number based on. I do the opposite. When we forecast employment,
Yeah.
if your number's the same as mine, I change my
That is
I gotta-
true. He does do that.
It makes me worried.
Yeah, because he knows I'm dead wrong.
So if you go to a restaurant and someone else orders what you want,
Oh yeah, I can't order the same thing.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
If Katie orders, my wife orders.
Oh, that's reasonable.
No, I can't do that.
No, I agree with that.
That feels weird.
Yeah, but my wife doesn't.
why is that reasonable?
No, it's
You can't have the same
reasonable. That's very
forecast?
reasonable. That's a reasonable thing because he gets the fish, and then she got the fish, he gets the fish. The fish is no good. Then what do?
You're 0 for 2.
You
gotta switch it up.
I get the pork chops. She gets the fish. The pork chops are good,
You share.
maybe.
Oh, that's my logic.
It's negotiation at that point.
I see. So, okay, so it's a
what
risk
about those
management.
Brussels sprouts? Are they part of the deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Do you guys get the same thing sometimes?
If we both want, both like it,
Oh.
why?
I tell you, I'm burning up in here. I'm burning up here. Maybe
And we
because
haven't
I'm
even gotten
laughing so
started.
loud.
We haven't even gotten started.
I know. I
Just
know,
wait till
but
we
I'm
get
just
to the
saying.
heated debate about recession.
Yeah. I'm going to be a bloody mess, before this is all,
I hope not.
before this is all over. Okay, wait a second. Okay, hold on.
Train of thought.
20%, because, so typically 10 to 15, I get it.
Okay.
20% just because, I think fundamentally the economy, when you're creating so many jobs, hard to see businesses turning tail, running for the bunker and start laying off workers.
Yeah. Exactly.
And going into recession. How exactly how is that going to happen? Unless you get whammed by a shock. And I'd say the probability is it doesn't take a big shock to do that because everybody from the CEO down to the average individual is on edge, right? Right? Shem, are you on edge? Are you worried about recession? Shem is our producer. Yeah. So the quality of this broadcast depends on Shem and his buddy Eduardo. Eduardo, are you kind of like the sous chef? Would you consider you the sous chef, or are you? Yeah, he's the chef and you're the
preps.
sous chef. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes, I am worried about recession.
See what I tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No.
No.
Where we could talk ourselves into a recession?
Well, when everyone's predicting recession.
No, everyone's always.
Yeah, I mean,
This is the first.
This is bizarre. So it feels like everyone is on edge, and if anything slightly goes off the rails, then we're going to go into a downturn. That's what. What do you think?
So everyone's on edge. And
Yeah.
yet- so I'm using personal experience.
Yeah.
It's coloring me. Over the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks, we've done a lot of business travel. We've gone to
Yeah.
a number of
Yeah.
clients and dinners and whatnot. And despite everyone talking about recession risk, the behavior doesn't seem to match up, at least in these major cities that we've
Yeah.
gone to.
Right.
So I don't know. I think, it'd have to be a really major shock to get us over the edge in the next 6 months.
Just the opposite of what I said. You don't need a minor shock.
I just feel like this momentum is still there, despite the psychological aspect.
Right.
The businesses are still
Yeah, maybe you're right.
with plenty of job openings. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
really going to pull back so quickly, even in the face of a
Yeah.
minor shock.
Well, I'm have a hard time getting my mind around what this dark sentiment actually means for the probability of recession, right? The kind of the obvious way of thinking about it is, okay, everyone's bleak, therefore, what I just said, it doesn't take much to push us in if something goes wrong, because the metaphor I have in my mind is we've got our hands on the bunker door, right? And if we hear one loud sound, we're going to run into the bunker, meaning we stop spending and, we go into recession.
But the restaurants are packed, the airport's packed, the
Yeah.
hotels wait in line. Just,
could it- could-
seems like there's a cognitive
Well, let me ask you
dissonance.
this. The other way of potentially thinking about it seems a little less satisfying, but I'm going to throw it out there. Maybe there's even another way of thinking about this. Because it is so bizarre that so many people are just discounting recession. For the fact that half of all economists are predicting a recession, that's unprecedented. That is unprecedented.
Could be some groupthink.
Yeah.
That you don't want to be the last one to adopt
But it's
it.
the entire,
Yeah.
everyone's the group.
Right, CEO
Yeah.
confidence is really low.
Jamie Dimon, the hurricane is coming.
Oh, yeah.
Comment. So could it be that, we're all thinking recession. Recession doesn't happen. Certainly not going to happen in the next 6 months. We're saying low probability event. Then people say, well, what recession? I don't think there's a recession. And they kind of.
No, I don't think that's what.
I don't think that's what
I think it's the timing. is
Yeah.
What they have in mind.
What do you
Not
mean?
going to happen right now, but
No, but most people, when they think
It is.
recession, they think right now. Shem,
do they?
when you think recession, do you think recession like in the next few months, or do you think recession in the next year or 2 years?
By the end of the year.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's consistent with Google Trends.
Yeah.
If you look at Google Trends data and search for what is a recession or recession, it
Yeah.
has spiked. It's come down,
Yeah.
but it was really elevated. So it was on people's minds, and that's what they're Googling.
But it's been on their minds all year, right? I bet
say
if
last-
you went back to March, people were already worried about recession. The confidence was, and we haven't had a recession yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So what are you saying?
So I think there's that level of anxiety is
Yeah.
there. That doesn't necessarily trigger a recession right away. It could be that they're anticipating recession later
Yeah.
next year. Right?
Well,
I think next year.
Here's another reason why I think, and if you're looking for things to look at to gauge whether it's a near-term recession, in my mind, and I'm curious if you've got other indicators, but the best indicator that I found for predicting a near-term recession over the next 3 to 6 months is a big decline in consumer confidence as measured by the Conference Board survey.
We've got that.
No, we do not.
No.
Actually, we
Well,
do not.
Conference Board.
Oh,
because
oh,
that's
you,
what-
Yeah,
oh,
3
you
month
mish, not the
change.
you mish. I was.
Yeah.
Michigan is sensitive to
Yeah, that's-
gasoline
I
and
know,
stock
yeah.
prices now.
I don't find that
Conference Board.
useful, as a predictor.
It doesn't match my narrative.
Well, true. That's true. That's true.
Cherry picking.
Yeah. No. There's no cherry picking. This is statistical cherry picking. I mean, I go back and
Fair
I
enough,
look.
fair
I go
enough.
back and I look. Right.
Yeah.
I have 12 recessions. I got 12 data points. Of course, the Conference Board doesn't go back
yeah.
that far. I got
Right.
maybe 8 data points going back to the 60s or something. And the Conference Board survey does a really good job. If it declines, it's an index. If it declines more than 20 percentage points in a 3-month period, we're going into recession 3 to 6 months down the road. And I don't think it ever falsely predicted that. And that goes, I think it goes to the fact that the Conference Board survey is more labor market oriented. And right now, as of August, the last data point we got, it actually improved from July because of the decline in energy prices. It's exactly where it was 3 months ago. So it's zero. It's not even negative. It was falling through July. Now it's not even.
But it's at a low level.
But that's my
it's the
point,
change.
though.
It's the
I
change.
got it.
That's my point. That's my point. In terms of predicting a recession in the next 3 to 6 months, it's not about the level. It's about the change. Think about that metaphor about hand on the bunker door. When confidence falls 20 points, the bunker door just opened and the consumer just walked in and shut the door behind them and stopped spending, and we're going in. We're going in, right? So I think that I said 3 to 6 months. I picked that because there's a fair amount of standard deviation around
Yeah.
there. But the actual average is 5 months. It's actually 5 months. So this would say pretty low. Well, this indicator would have to get blown out of the water to, based on its historical record for not. It's saying no recession. To your point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're discounting that.
Well, yeah, the level of confidence. Yeah, yes, because we are
the change,
vulnerable.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we
but I'm
have a
just
higher
saying.
probability.
Well, to some degree, we're nitpicking here, aren't we? God, he does this all the time.
Yeah,
He kills me. Yeah.
I don't know how you travel.
You know
with
what he's
that.
like?
15 versus 20?
You know, in boxing metaphor, he's like the rope-a-dope guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I go after him, and he's like this, and then I stop, and he goes boom. Right
Yep, he waits for the knockout.
He goes right in the nose. Shem, am I right about that? Can you feel that? Can you feel that strategy he's employing here?
I like Chris.
Yeah. We all like Chris. What are you talking about? We all like Chris. Where was I? What other indicators do you?
Jobless claims.
Okay, jobless claims. Yeah,
Because
very
I mean,
good.
the kind of that is a leading, or not a leading. It comes. It's more high frequent. It's every Thursday.
Yeah.
Counts the number of people that are filing for unemployment insurance benefits. It gets back to the labor market argument. That has to increase
Yeah.
for the labor market to deteriorate, which would then cause confidence to fall.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This is a kind of an early read of what Conference Board will do.
And the UI claims are low. Really
Yeah,
low.
Very,
Very
low.
low.
Very low.
I think last week they were 213.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
213,000, right? And that's about as low as it ever gets.
And normally, when we're heading into a recession, not in one, it's 300 to 350,000. So
Yeah.
we got breathing room.
Yeah. So what do you think, though? We don't need to get to 350 before you start
No,
sounding the alarm bells, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, once we start heading in that direction,
yeah.
that's when the bells go off. But
Do you have like a rule of thumb? What's the kind of the threshold above which recession now seems like it's increasing?
300.
Oh, it's 300. We have to get as high as 300. I thought it was 250. No.
I'd say 275 is when I get nervous.
Yeah.
Especially
Okay.
we're trending up, and then 300 is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
flag.
when.
Oh,
there.
250 is when
I think 250 is normal.
I think
kind of typical.
275,000,
Yeah.
if sustained, is consistent with no job growth.
No job growth.
Yeah.
Right. We actually
Which-
want to get to 275, right?
Well, a little
In
bit
sense.
below. We want like
and stick
50
there.
to 100,000
I
jobs.
wouldn't be bad if we got zero for a little bit, right?
For a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
'Cause
then you're dangerously.
Yeah, slip back in. And you're saying if I go over 300,000 initial claims for unemployment insurance, people, saying I'm unemployed, government cut me a check to help me out.
Right.
We're in. We're in a recession.
Or we're
pretty
tip-
damn close.
Yeah, we're tipping in.
We're tipping in. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And do you have any kind of good indicators, near-term, kind of intermediate-term indicators you look at to gauge this question?
Of course.
No,
Yeah.
don't do it. Not
Something
yet.
housing
Not-
related?
No, not
Yeah.
yet.
It's a little longer term,
Oh.
maybe 12 months.
Here it comes.
Oh, he's got another. Oh, really? I should know this.
It's
You
your
said-
favorite. Your favorite.
My favorite.
Oh, you want to stick with 6
Not the
months?
yield curve.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Of course. He wants to bring that
of
up
course
already.
he-
But no. Wait. That's not a near-term.
No, well,
That's what,
It's-
12 to 15 months, right?
Yeah.
it's indicating.
Yeah.
It's
Fif-
pointing
no,
in
12.
that
I say
direction.
12 to 18.
Okay.
15 on average.
On average, it's 15,
Yeah,
right?
15.
Yeah.
I think we've had some episodes where it's been shorter.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, we're coming back to that.
We'll save this one for later.
We will,
I have
'cause that's
Chris's
more
knockout punch to you. It's already in the forecast.
You mean you're gonna punch me? You mean
I'm not going to punch you.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
I got to stay employed.
metaphorically? Metaphorically
No,
punch me?
You were just talking about the rope-a-dope.
Yeah.
Here's Chris's knockout punch.
Okay. What
He
is?
put it in the forecast. No, I'm going to save it.
What's he talking about?
I'm not sure.
We'll see. You'll see.
He's cryptic. You know.
It's the McEnroe.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
a macaron. Okay.
Messing
Okay.
with our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mind games. It's all
You play
mind.
tennis?
No.
Did you see the way he said that?
Oh,
It's like he looks down on anyone who plays tennis.
Oh, no,
Shem,
Mike.
do you play tennis? Oh, see.
No, you're a big tennis player, aren't you?
I used to be in my prime.
Yeah, well, my elbow is all shot out from baseball. So you can't swing a tennis racket.
Yeah.
Pickleball?
I've heard that's
actually-
fun. Have you ever
Yeah,
played?
it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. I got to try.
Yeah, we're
that.
getting into it.
Really? Oh, you play it?
A little bit. I mean, the kids
Yeah.
are starting. My oldest
Yeah.
is kind of being able to hit it back.
Where do you go to play pickleball? Like the Y or something?
Yeah, the why?
How can we say it that way? See the way he does that?
No, I'm just,
Yeah, you see, he like,
Where do you go play pickleball? Oh, you haven't played.
I even play pickleball.
Chris, where do you go?
If I played pickleball, I would go to the Y across
To
the
the
street.
Y.
And
Yeah.
there's a park in Westchester that
They
has
have a
pickleball courts.
Oh,
Yep.
cool.
So-
Yeah, I got to give that a shot. Well, I noticed at the beach, the New Jersey shore. Oh, you probably saw this. They're turning tennis courts into pickleball
Right.
courts because people don't play as much tennis anymore.
Yeah, but pickleball's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got to give it a shot. Okay, let's move on. Oh,
Recession
I didn't get your-
indicator?
Wait, I didn't get your probability.
Oh, 30%.
30.
30%. Okay,
Yeah.
so why are you on the high side?
Because the peak in
This is the probability of recession beginning in the next 6 months.
early next year, first quarter, is when we get the biggest drag from the tightening in financial market conditions. So that's going to be a drag on the economy early next year. I think we get through it, but
Yeah.
that's my concern.
So you want to explain that? You know, what did you mean when you said that? Just explain that to the listener.
Yeah, so when financial market conditions tighten, so stock prices fall, corporate bond spreads widen out, long-term interest rates rise, it hits some parts of the economy right away, like
Value of the dollar.
housing, value of the dollar, great
Yeah.
one. But then there's a lag, and like the wealth effect, for example, plays out over time. So when people see the stock market decline, they don't pull back on spending right away. Happens over a period of time. That will likely the biggest drag on the economy will be early next year. And also some of the tightening from the Fed
Yeah.
hasn't hit the economy yet.
No.
That's going
Right.
to be early next year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of two things that are hitting us all at once.
Right. And I guess fiscal policy also had been a massive tailwind that's now turned into a bit of a headwind.
It should be neutral.
Kind of neutral, I guess,
Maybe-
by early next year.
Well, the infrastructure
Yeah.
should
Oh,
start.
yeah, that's
some
true.
of it should start
That's
kicking
true.
in.
Should
Yeah.
maybe-
But if that's delayed,
Yeah.
then that's just another support
Yeah.
pulled away
Oh, interesting.
early next year.
Right. So you think, what'd you say, 30%?
30%.
In the next 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Shem, are you writing all this down? You know, we have a track record here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a track record. Okay. Let's go to the 12-month horizon. So between now and, let's say, next September, October. What do you say? I'll go turn to you first. Probably.
Oh, you have to come to me.
Yeah.
Or you're 75%.
Between now and next year, 75.
70 to 75.
I don't even want to know your 18-month.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, it's lower.
Yeah.
Because if we get through the next 12 months, then I think we dodge it.
interesting. Oh, interesting.
Because same thing with the next 6 months, you got tightening in financial market conditions, you have the Fed, and they're not stopping. Like, we have them, well, we can talk about the Fed forecast later,
We
but
should, right now, because,
it's 3.5%. We have
Yeah.
it in our September baseline. It's
Yeah.
more likely going to be 4.
yeah,
Later this week, the Fed's going to release their new dot plot,
yeah.
and I think it's going to be 4.25 to 4.5, where they think they're going to stop.
So
peak.
by the time this is aired, we
Well,
probably will have this
Right.
from the
Yeah.
Fed.
Yep.
So 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 you're saying very high probability we're going into recession.
Very good.
Very high probability.
Very
If you
high.
were doing the forecast today and you were responsible for deciding
I put a recession
You put a
sometime in
recession.
2023, second half.
second half of 2023, but starting in this between now and a year from now.
Yeah, because the Fed is not
Yeah.
going to stop.
Okay,
until
so
inflation.
so
Yeah.
lay out the path for me
Mm-hmm.
that because it boils down to interest rates in the Federal Reserve policy,
Correct.
right? Okay,
Mhm.
so lay out the path for me as how you think the funds rate, and that's our benchmark for what the Fed's going to
Mm-hmm.
do, plays out over the next year.
So 75 basis points this month.
Okay, so we're the federal funds rate target 2.25 to 2.5. So let's just say 2.5, the top end of
Yep.
the target.
Mm-hmm.
Fed meets this week, Wednesday.
Wednesday,
They're going to raise it
3.25%, so 75 basis points.
3.25. Then November,
Another 50,
that's 375. Then
And then
December,
another 50.
425.
Right.
And by the way, I'm with you so far.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go into next year.
Correct.
Where do they go?
So as of now, I would expect them to pause if our inflation forecast is correct.
Well, no. This is your forecast.
Oh, you want the recession forecast?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
they go 25 in January when they meet.
Okay, so the inflation isn't coming down
It's
fast
not coming
enough.
down fast enough.
Job growth isn't slowing fast
It's
enough.
not.
So they have to they will keep going.
Correct.
So we're going from 425 to 450 in January.
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
Then one more 25.
475?
Yep.
And that is sufficient to generate a recession.
Yeah, so if you shock our macro model,
Yeah.
if you have that, that's a mild recession.
Oh, when you say mild, you mean like 2/4 of we lose
Yeah,
jobs for 6 months.
yeah, you lose
like
jobs.
as
The
we
unemployment rate goes
define the
up.
recession.
Yep.
Broad-based, persistent decline. At least 6 months, we lose jobs, unemployment rises
Exactly.
meaningfully.
Because you get further tightening in financial market conditions.
Right.
So, and then that bleeds through into the broader economy.
So what happens to the stock market in that scenario? We're down 20, peak to trough now. So what are we down? Like 25, 30?
Yeah, 25, 30.
Okay. 10-year yield goes to, we're at 3.5% on the 10-year yield.
Oh, you're north of 4.5. Or no, close to 4.5.
You're going to go up a full point. Oh, the 10-year is going to go from 3.5 to 4.5? It's
Yeah,
going to be.
if the Fed funds rate. Oh, no, I'm
no,
sorry.
The funds rate is 4.75.
Yeah.
You think it's going to go to 4.5?
4.25, I think. I got to double
yeah.
check the.
Okay,
scenario.
I'm just.
But
Yeah,
it's right,
it's okay.
right around there.
We're over 4.
There's inversion.
Yeah, there's an inversion between the 10-year and the Fed funds rate.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. And what mortgage rates? We're 6% plus mortgage rates.
I don't remember. I didn't look at mortgage rates.
You don't?
No.
Oh, what
you
do you
look at-
do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I know the model is going to
Yeah, okay.
spill over into
it
mortgage.
out. Okay,
and then I
all
look at
right.
housing.
What about the value of the dollar? Does it go any higher?
What is this?
I'm just
Yeah, it's the
fleshing out
value of the dollar.
view,
The scenario.
you know?
Because
Yeah.
think about this scenario: the Fed's continuing to tighten.
Yeah.
Eurozone's about to fall into a recession.
Yeah.
So the ECB is going to start cutting. So the dollar is going to keep going up against
Yeah.
the euro
Okay.
and elsewhere in the world.
Okay.
Because interest rate differentials are going to remain.
So part of your story, big part of your story is the Fed over tightens.
They're gonna-
tightens
yep.
because they need to get inflation in, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not happening by itself without a recession. Part of your story is overseas, particularly Europe, weak recession, so that kind of reverberates back
Mm-hmm.
on us. Any other elements to that?
No, the key one's the
Forecast?
Fed. I mean, if you listen to Fed Chair Powell's Jackson Hole speech,
Yeah.
it's hell bent on getting inflation back, and
Yeah.
reading between the lines, they'll stomach a mild recession
Yeah.
to address that. And if you look, we talk about this all the time. Our inflation problems are on the supply side. It's not the demand side where the Fed can affect
Yeah.
inflation. So they're going to keep hiking rates, and inflation might start coming down if oil prices fall, supply chain stress eases. But if they don't see that, off they go. They're going
Yeah.
to keep going.
Okay. Can I ask one more thing, and then before we move on, in terms of underlying assumptions,
Okay.
what do you assume about oil prices in this world we're in?
They come down a little bit, but then they remain higher than what's on our baseline forecast.
So we have oil going back up to it's $90 a barrel. We have it going up to 100. So you can't
Comes back down to 90. It just stays
Yeah.
right around where they are
yeah.
today.
Right around where so you're assuming nothing goes off the rails with Russia
No.
or oil prices. That's not part of this story.
This is a whole policy mistake.
okay
scenario.
Okay, it doesn't sound like a mistake. It sounds like it's by design.
Well-
We're going in because they want to wring out the inflation.
Well, I think if the Fed in a perfect world would want to engineer a soft landing,
Yeah, but
that's
at the end of the day, they decide they can't do that. So
right.
yeah, okay,
Yeah. So it's like them facing Hobson's choice: a
Yeah.
mild recession
Yeah.
now, or
Yeah.
potential stagflation
right.
down the road.
What about the pandemic and supply chains? Are you making any? Are you assuming that continues to wind down and fade away?
Yep. So we get a deceleration in inflation. It's just
Yeah.
not fast enough for them to.
Yeah, underlying core. We can get oil prices down, gasoline, jet fuel. We get some benefit from vehicle prices coming in because of supply chains, but the core underlying rates of inflation remain stubbornly high.
Right.
Wage growth is strong, which goes
Rents
to the
keep
high.
ri- yeah.
Rents keep rising. Medical care cost inflation, and therefore, I'm not going to. Let me ask you this. One more question. What do you assume about inflation expectations?
They remain anchored.
Oh, they remain anchored.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's
Throughout, or
the
are there
Fed's
bouts of-
credibility. I think the Fed's credibility is
Yeah.
still intact.
yeah.
I mean, most measures, not all of them, of
Yeah.
long-term inflation expectations are still anchored. That doesn't mean that, that's going to help us on the inflation front today
Yeah.
or next year.
Right.
And the Fed, to keep their credibility, they'd rather bring out the inflation now
Yeah.
by overdoing it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, what are your, he's 75%, which means if he were king economist, we'd have a recession in our forecast, built into our forecast.
Yeah.
Because
Over
remember,
the 12 months.
Remember, because our philosophy, I think we all are on the same page here, that we will only make a big change in our forecast, and going from no recession to recession is a big change.
An enormous
If we
change.
are confident, and confidence defined by a 2/3 probability, which is obviously subjective, but we
Right.
have to feel deep down, because we don't want to get whipsawed. We don't want to
Exactly.
recession, no recession, recession. That makes for bad planning. For
Yeah, we do.
clients.
It's not just with recession. It's like
Yeah.
fiscal policy,
Yeah, everything.
monetary policy.
Any
yeah.
major assumption.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you'd be one of those half of economists out there who have a recession built in. Okay, fine. Okay, where are you on this?
I agree with all that Ryan has laid out here, except the timing. I think the recession is a bit later than that. So as we get to the 18-month, that's when
Yeah.
you'll see my probabilities rise. But
Yeah.
for the 12-month, I would estimate something 50-55%.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But for many of the same reasons that,
Yeah.
that Ryan outlined, it's just I do think that consumers do still have
Firepower.
quite a bit of firepower, so there might be some delay
a
in
good
really
point.
eroding the psychology.
When real incomes are going to improve, right?
They
Are
are.
actually improving because oil prices are in. Inflation is coming down, so we're going to get a real income boost here. We got nailed by real incomes. See how he does that? See
No,
that?
I'm
See, I can't-
thinking.
I can't see when he's on Zoom. I can't see him do these things, but his facial expressions.
No.
Yeah. No.
But if that
Am
happens,
I reading too much into
if
those?
that happens, the Fed's going to go even more aggressive.
Yeah.
So instead of
You
50,
need
75.
Shem, put a camera on, close up on this guy.
No.
Watch his facial expressions. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Here we go.
Okay.
You can't hold anything. You can't hold these against me down the road.
Well, he twitched.
I know. He
Exactly.
twitched. He twitched. He twitched. There's got to be meaning in that twitch. I'm a very sensitive guy.
You are very sensitive.
I'm
I
very
think the pandemic has made you
I'm
more
very
sensitive. Because
sensitive. I follow
before,
everything.
we could have arguments and you would not get this uptight.
I'm not uptight. I'm enjoying
defensive.
it. Am I uptight?
No.
Shem, am I uptight?
Not the slightest.
God, I like this guy. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good producer.
He
Look
is.
at
He's
that
excellent.
camera on
He's excellent.
Shem.
Yeah.
Eduardo, I'm not
Bring
sure
him.
about you yet. You're still on probation. We gotta figure you out.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Jeez.
maybe that's too strong a word. What's the right word?
Probation. We'll
See?
go probation.
Look
We'll go probation.
You see his face? I'm telling you.
See, no, but
It's like,
what you're saying is exactly what my wife says to me all the time. She's like, you wear your emotions. Like people can tell exactly what you're thinking. Yeah.
It's so funny. Like Chris, I can't tell
Next
what he's
time,
thinking.
He is
Yeah.
like,
We're going to have
He's like Aristotle.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how Aristotle looked. You know?
Okay, podcast poker.
I
Next
guess.
Oh, yeah.
time, all right?
Oh no, I would be awful.
Okay, well, lay out your path for the Fed then. So we're at 2.5.
Yep.
What happens this week?
Very similar, 75.
75,
50,
50, 50. We're at 4.25 by the end of the year.
Yep.
Then what happens?
We get another 25 in there.
So
I don't
we go
know specifically, sometime
Yeah.
in the first quarter. I don't
Okay.
know when.
And then what?
Then they pause.
They pause. Okay. And
Yeah.
then
And the effects of all of that tightening actually
Yeah.
make their way into the economy.
Yeah.
Right? That's what
They
it takes
see
time.
inflation starting to come in a little bit. They see job growth slowing a little bit.
They get-
They've done all this
Yeah.
tightening, and they say monetary policy works with a long lag.
Right?
Let me just hang out here for at 4.5 for a little bit, see what the world looks like, and
Right.
then
Yeah, and I think they're getting pressure as well because job losses are starting to
yeah,
come in, right? You start
Yeah.
to get those doves returning.
yeah,
So they're weighing that inflation versus job growth
yeah,
trade-off, and then I think we do have higher probabilities of some other shock hitting us as well. The one I am particularly worried about is Europe next year. Right? I think Europe gets through this winter reasonably well. I still think they go into recession, but the real pain doesn't occur until next year when they're trying to refuel all their gas tanks. They're still in the middle of this protracted conflict with Ukraine. So they're in, and they potentially could go into a very deep recession at that point, and that has some
because of the energy issues.
because of the energy issues.
Okay.
And-
They
and I
go through
think-
their storage of natural gas, and,
Correct, and they have to refill at that point,
refilling it.
and there's no one to refill.
or it's very
It's just-
difficult.
Yeah, very difficult. Yeah. Okay.
So they go down, and although the linkages between Europe and the U.S. aren't so tight, I think there are some repercussions
yeah.
from that slowing there that hit our exporters and make it just very different. And also the psychology. I think consumers
Yep.
look over there, see what's going on with utility bills, and start to pull back
Yeah.
at that point.
Got it. Okay, I'm at 40% over the next 12 months. And my path is very similar to yours. I mean, this is very interesting because the Fed keeps on going.
Yep.
They pause, but then they have to start raising again at some point, right? I mean,
Oh, not
no?
necessarily.
Oh, they still stay
I
at
think they
4.5?
pause. They're there for an extended period of time.
Oh, and you're saying they're at 4.5 and then something happens.
Yes.
And we're vulnerable and
Exactly.
fragile, and that's when we go in.
Yes, that's
Oh,
right.
okay.
And the consumer firewall is deteriorating at that, right? Those excess
Yeah.
savings are getting depleted
Yeah.
increasingly.
Because why? Because the job market has slowed.
Well, the inflation is still not very
Back
low.
in. Oh,
and
okay.
and the job market is slowing, right? So those wage
Okay.
gains are slowing as well.
Okay, so I guess I'm at 40% the next 12 months. I'm not dissimilar to your perspective. 4.5, I'm not going to argue with
Yeah, yeah.
4.5%.
Who knows?
4 to 4.5%, something like that. And I agree with you. They pause, right, for the
Yep.
reasons you gave, because top line inflation should be coming in if oil prices are stable, if supply chains are ironing themselves out, and vehicle prices are starting to come in. That's part of core. We should see some moderation. And job growth should it's slowing already. We were at 500K a month on average, back in the spring. We're down to 350. I think we discussed that in one of the podcasts.
Yep.
We need to be no more than 100.
Right.
And I don't know, I think it feels like we'll probably be there by, that time, early next year, around 100K. And they say, okay, I'm going to pause because you're right. There's a long lag between monetary because it works through financial conditions. and
Right.
That takes a long time to, kind of figure all that out. So they pause, and then in my 40%,
Yeah.
inflation works out in their favor. That inflation continues to moderate. Job growth slows, labor market eases. That takes the steam out of wage growth, and we don't have a long way to go. We're at 5% ish, kind of on wage growth,
Right.
depending on the measure. We need to be 3.5% ish, on wage growth to be consistent with 2% inflation, and that we get that with that moderation, and that's kind of sort of a soft landing.
You're seeing this very smooth type of path here?
Well, it's never a straight line,
Right.
and there will be shocks. But
Yeah.
and you're right. If we get another supply side shock of any consequence, you're right. We'll go into recession. But I'm not building that into my baseline, and maybe that's kind of where
maybe that's where we differ.
or agree
Oh,
when it comes to the forecast, because you would not change the forecast. You would still have a non-recessionary forecast
in the next 12 months.
in the next 12 months.
Here it comes.
Okay, here it comes.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Okay. So what indicators should we be looking at to gauge recession over the next 12 months, or should I wait until we do the 18 month and come back to that question?
No, I think it's appropriate
Okay. It's appropriate. Okay.
because it'll
Yeah.
It'll feed into the 18-month as well.
Okay. All right. So
It has to be the yield curve.
it has to be the yield curve. Yeah. Okay. You want to explain?
Difference between the 10-year and the 2-year Treasury rate. Or
There's
Treasury
different yield
yields.
curves. That's
Treasury
one yield
yields.
curve.
Yeah, that's one
Yield
yield.
curve.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Doesn't fit with my narrative, but yeah.
Exactly. Right. Typically upward sloping. Typically longer duration or longer time periods require higher yields. When they invert, where the 2-year is above the 10-year yield, it has signaled a recession almost every time since World War II. Right now, we're deeply inverted, about 40 basis points, and we've been that way for several months now. I think we inverted briefly in April, kind of
Yeah.
undid that,
Yeah.
and then in June, July.
Yeah, this is a hard
Yeah.
inversion.
This is definitely a hard
Definitely
inversion.
Hard, long inversion.
This is harder than the pre-pandemic inversion for sure.
Yeah.
So
Well, that I mean, that's not a
And if
really great
that's-
example. I
no,
mean, but actually, that was
if it's
signaling
the-
something. Was
something.
Gonna, yeah, it was going to weaken even before the pandemic.
true, but it wasn't signaling
Versus this kind of
much.
like this. Yeah.
It wasn't
Right.
nearly
It
as
was a close call.
severe. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I
Okay,
remember. I remember somebody using the yield curve to support their 2020.
I still
recession.
am. Wait. I got a
He doesn't have the
counterpunch. I got a
All
counterpunch
right.
to this. I got a counterpunch to this.
We'll see.
I'm
There's no
playing
ca-
rope-a-dope now,
All right.
baby. Yeah. I learn. You know, I'm I can learn still at my age. You know.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Especially with this guy, you got to be,
I don't know how you.
got to adapt.
I can't imagine traveling with you two. The conversations and the debates.
Actually, it
good.
works
It's
out
good.
really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go
good
like
balance.
this. I go like this. I get tired, and I say,
He puts his
"Chris,
He
please."
puts his headphones on on the plane.
Actually,
It's
it
good.
works out well. We got a
Yeah.
good thing going. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Abbott-
can charge.
Abbott
we
and
can charge
Costello.
for this. I'm pointing to Sarah. Sarah's like leads the way on all this stuff. Okay.
So inverted yield
wait,
curve-
Wait.
oh,
Explain the people are saying, well, why? What's the intuition behind that? Why does an inversion of the yield curve signal recession? What's the intuition behind that?
Yeah, so it's investors indicating that they are afraid of the future, right? That the economy is going to face some type of slowdown. And they're willing to accept a lower yield for that very long-term debt that they are supporting in exchange for, that security. On top of that, perhaps if you're thinking more economically, it is a strain on the financial system, right? Banks make money when the yield curve is positively sloped, right? When you have that inversion, it makes it very difficult for them to earn any type of net interest margin.
Yeah.
So that you could say that the yield curve then is causing
Yeah.
the stress on the financial system. Credit dries up, and that leads to a pullback in spending.
Right. Too much credit's a problem. You
Yeah.
over levered, that kind of thing. Not enough credit's a problem.
Exactly.
Credit crunch it
Exactly.
slows economic growth. There's a happy medium there.
Exactly.
And if the curve inverts, banks that fund themselves with short-term money at a higher rate than they can lend out with long-term money can't make money. So I don't lend.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No
That's right.
credit, no growth.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Okay. But you don't like the yield curve as a leading indicator. Historically, you've not liked it.
Not historically, no.
Why?
Just because I think with quantitative easing and tightening, which is the Fed buying and selling Treasury securities, they're altering the term structure of the yield curve. So I just think the message today is different than it was in the past. So
Yeah, but
So you do believe it prior to this round? Pre-financial crisis. even.
pre-financial crisis, yeah, I thought the yield curve was a pretty good predictor.
But the kind of the consensus view, and doesn't mean it's right, but the consensus view on the quantitative easing and tightening is what matters for interest rates, long-term interest rates, is the stock of securities that the Fed owns, not the change in.
Right.
So they
but
expanded in the QE. They expanded their balance sheet, took a lot of Treasury mortgage securities, put it on their balance sheet. It's bloated. So all else being
It's
equal, that would
enormous.
suggest long-term interest rates are lower than they otherwise would be without the QE.
correct,
Okay. So you're saying the 10-year yield should actually
be higher
be higher.
Mm-hmm.
So the curve is not inverted
or close. Yeah, it's not as
Yeah.
deeply inverted as it is now.
as it appears to be.
Right.
Yeah, it may even be the 40, 50 basis points that relative to the 2-year yield today may actually not be inverted at all.
Correct.
So that would be a signal that there is no recession.
Right.
Okay.
But remember-
so that comes counter to your 75%.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Talk about a blow.
No.
That's a blow.
no,
That's a big blow.
no.
Right to
'Cause-
the nose. Kashem. Was that a blow?
You got him.
Yeah. I love this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much did you pay him?
I didn't pay him anything. Yeah.
He's taking him out to dinner.
Yeah.
No, because the economy and financial markets can do two different things. So if you look at the economic data, it's suggesting, we could get in trouble soon, because if you look at the senior loan officer survey, the net percent of banks tightening lending standards on C&I loans, commercial and industrial, is rising. So more banks are tightening screws back to the yield curve being inverted.
Oh, so you're saying that's a good indicator to watch for?
It's in our probability recession models.
And it works pretty well.
Yep.
Okay.
It's one of the most important, along with the yield curve.
But it's just reflecting the yield curve, is what you're saying.
Potentially,
Right.
yeah. I did it with both. Take the yield curve out, put senior loan officer survey in, vice versa.
Right.
And that model would say 60% probability in the next 12 months.
Yeah. Okay. All right, but
That's a
well,
tough
let me ask you-
argument to make here, right? High recession odds. I don't believe the yield curve, and yet the yield curve supports your high recession odds.
No, I'm not saying it supports it 100%. I don't even look at the yield curve. I don't care about the yield curve. I hate the yield curve.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah.
it might not have to, it doesn't have to invert to
You're
have a
saying that
recession.
don't even pay attention to the
Yeah.
yield curve. Yeah. But that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
Because it's so prescient.
Yeah, especially working with you two.
No,
like
I'm
all
just
I hear about is the yield curve.
Well, if you're right about the recession, right, then we're naturally going to look back and say, oh, yield curve inverted.
Well, okay.
Victory.
But let's
No,
put
I would
that
not
right-
say the yield curve. I would not use that as a victory.
Well,
I don't want a recession.
nobody wants to, no, victory for the yield curve in terms of its ability to predict. And
But
you'll say,
what is
no, asterisk.
Well, the pandemic is a huge asterisk on the yield curve. But the yield curve,
No, what do you mean? I thought it inverted.
it did not. All right.
did invert.
No, it did invert.
It
but
wasn't a
did-
hard inversion,
No.
but it inverted.
All right, so
But it's not the pandemic. It was just saying that the economy was vulnerable. Probably. Okay, never mind.
no.
But I
This is like Mike-
got something else. I want
All
to-
right.
I want something else on the yield curve.
Okay.
that we need to discuss. The policy yield curve, which is the difference between the 10-year yield and the Fed funds rate, has also been quite prescient, very prescient historically.
Yeah, that's heavily manipulated. As, as
What do
Ryan.
you mean heavily manipulated?
That's all. It's due to the Fed
Fed.
controls it.
Well, that's the point. It's this recession we're talking about now is largely the result of Fed policy, what the Fed's going to do or not do, right?
Yeah, but if you believe
But
the
okay,
Fed
let me
was
just finish the
okay,
thought.
go
So,
ahead.
so the yield curve, the policy yield curve, what I call the policy yield curve. I don't know if anyone else calls it that.
no one else calls it that.
Oh,
but
really?
You can go. I like it.
I like
you can
it,
coin
right?
it.
That's
yeah.
good.
Because it is the policy yield.
It
curve.
is. Yes, it's very true.
So you have the 10-year Treasury yield relative to the federal funds rate target, the actual rate they control. And every time that inverts, we get a recession. And I think the one rap against is you've had a couple, three false positives along the way. It inverted a little bit and a recession not followed. Not a deep inversion, but you had some inversion. But what's that?
False negative, right?
False negative? False negative? Oh, false negative. Whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's my little jab back. All right.
Yeah, but that hasn't, right now, the 10-year yield is 3.5, and it's moving up pretty quickly. It's been moving up. It's up 50 basis points, a half a point in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah.
And the funds rate is now 2.5. Let's say they go 75 basis points, like we all say this week. That means the top end of the range is 3.25. We're still at 3.5, and conceivably, even under our forecasts for Fed funds, the 10-year can keep on moving northward and stay above the 10-year yield. The curve will get flatter than it is now, but it actually won't invert. Therefore,
It could also not.
no, I know, but my point is, it's not signaling proof positive that there's a recession, dead ahead, right? 12.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best yield curve is the 10-year minus the 3-month, and the 3-month sensitive to policy rate, and that will invert on Wednesday or Thursday morning.
Why is that the best one?
It's
Fewest
not
false-
controlled by the.
No,
They're
it's
complete-
so close. Come on, it's so closely tied.
not
to the
direct,
But it
federal
has the
funds
best
rate.
track record. Beats your 10-2. Oh, you can.
10-year policy rate?
No,
Fund
10.
funds? The
10 he's
10-year
saying that-
Fed funds rate?
Mine,
Yeah.
the 10-2.
We should, let's go look.
I can look
That's
at
a
it.
good question. No, that's a good question. Okay. All right, let's move forward. Now we're down to brass tacks. here. Recession probabilities over the next 18 months.
70%.
I didn't ask you.
Oh,
Shem, did you see how he did that?
He just jumps in.
He just jumps in.
I found my.
Yeah.
I found the.
All right,
the
70%.
moment.
Okay, 70%.
So
What are you at? Oh, it's less than 70%.
I'd be like 65 to 70.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Oh,
Because I think the next 12 months, if we get through that, we have a fighting chance to get
Yeah.
to avoid it.
Yeah.
But it's still high, uncomfortably
Yeah.
high,
So what is it? What is it you said?
65 to 70.
Okay, still you would have a recession
Oh, yeah.
in your
Yeah.
forecast. Okay. Okay, so 70% because odds are in this 18-month period, we are going to get hit by something that's big enough to push us in.
there's that, certainly.
Yeah.
But I also think the sociological pressures are also there over that longer time period.
What does that mean? The
Right. Well,
sociological-
recession is a sociological phenomenon. At the end,
Yeah.
right. People lose faith, confidence. Businesses
Right.
decide, not the time to invest.
Yeah.
And all these things we've mentioned, or at least I've mentioned, in terms of a global recession, Europe, probably parts of Asia, going into recession in the not too distant future. The excess savings that consumers have built up, whittling down over time here, right? High interest rates from the Fed actually having real economic impact over this time period. That's what pushes us into recession. And I think then I would agree with you, any type of little shock
mean-
at that point pushes us in.
Do we need a shock then?
We don't really
No.
need it, but
No.
any excuse at that point, I think, will be one that
We go in. Yeah.
takes us in.
Yeah. Okay. Shem is signaling we've got about 10 minutes left. Okay, I'm at 50%.
That's low.
That's low.
I'm
Oh,
at
that's really low.
50%.
I'm surprised the two of you are like housing gurus, and you didn't
Yeah.
mention housing. So
Yeah.
in our forecast,
Yeah.
we have year-over-year declines in new home sales, 30% in the first quarter next year. One false positive.
Yeah, but what do you mean?
When it
Oh,
falls 30% year-over-year, a
Yeah.
recession is usually 12 months ahead.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the only false
Is that new home sales or existing home
new
sales?
home sales.
New home sales.
We did get a 30% decline
Yeah.
around the pandemic when you had sales go through the roof and
Yeah.
then come back down.
Yeah,
But if you go back to the early 1970s, since any time new home sales fall that far, recession's 12, a little bit, maybe right around there, 12 months later.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I didn't know that. It makes sense because housing is the most rate-sensitive
Exactly.
sector
Yep.
of the economy. But I almost look at that as, at this point, and it's almost like bad news is good news.
How to cool the housing market.
Well, we need
Yeah, no, we
we need to
do.
get job growth down fast, right?
Mhm.
I mean, otherwise the economy will overheat. I mean, wage growth, inflation won't come in like we want. So we got to get job growth from 350K, where we are underlying job growth right now, monthly, down to 100K, south of 100K.
Mhm.
So if it isn't from housing, where's that coming from? I mean, what's going to cause job? Where's it going to be? Where's the job growth going to come from? The slowing in job growth going to come.
Job losses.
Well, we need
Potentially.
job losses somewhere to get the job
Yeah.
growth
Yeah.
in aggregate to
That's
come
right.
in, right? So if it's not in housing, I mean, I'm just a little confused because everything else, even in housing, the thing that makes it maybe different this time, I hesitate to say that, but
That's
the
The thorn in the economist side.
the vacancy rates are so low.
Yeah.
And there's so much multifamily activity because people can't afford to buy single-family
Right.
homes. Affordability's been crushed. So first-time buyers can't become potential first-time buyers can't become. They're rent. So we see a lot of construction. They are short-staffed. You looked at unfilled positions. They've got a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens is they stop building single-family homes, and people just walk across the road and go work on the multifamily development. And then we got the infrastructure thing kicking in.
True.
In 23. So maybe, I'm worried we don't even see any, I mean, it seems really weird to say, but we see no job loss in construction. So where's the job loss going to come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Leisure, hospitality, other sectors of the economy where people are pulling back. Right?
Yeah.
But now you're
But then
feeding Chris
then-
and I's narrative that if the job growth doesn't slow,
Yeah.
Fed's going to
The
come
Fed-
in
yep.
even harder.
Yeah.
Guns
but-
a-blazing.
Yeah. Well, that is the scenario though to get to recession. It's the following, that they go to 4.25, 4.5 by the early next year. They pause.
Right.
Things don't slow sufficiently. We don't get the job growth slowing like we need to. We don't get overall inflations and core inflation slowing like we need to. And they start tightening again at that point.
Yeah.
That feels like more like, to me, the most likely recession scenario.
But you see that as low probability.
No, 50%. I don't see that low. That's
you-
pretty damn high.
if you read the Fed's beige book,
Yeah.
employers plan on keep hiring just because they know how difficult it is. So
Yeah.
they don't want to pull back and they don't want to lay off workers.
Yeah.
That's why I think one of the best things I'm tracking is the beverage curve,
Yeah.
the relationship between the unemployment rate and job opening rate.
Yeah.
The Fed's got to pull it straight down,
Yeah.
pull labor demand down. They've never done that.
Yeah.
Because without the unemployment rate rising, and that's kind of my narrative for a recession.
By the way, did you see my Twitter feed this weekend? You're not looking at my Twitter feed? Shem, are you looking at my Twitter feed?
Always.
See?
We got lots of sports
I
on the
like
weekend.
that guy. I love this guy.
The lowest thing on my
You can
list.
come
of
back
things-
anytime you want, Shem. Eduardo, I'm not so sure about. Yeah, he's very quiet over there. Yeah.
What'd you tweet out? The beverage curve?
Variation, Phillips curve.
Okay. The prime age.
Yeah, EPOP versus wage growth. It's actually a really at Mark Zandy.
Here.
At Mark Zandy. Really cool chart.
Oh, this was in This Week in the Economy on economy.com.
Yeah, but you
I
see
saw
it?
that there. I
Was
saw
that a
there.
cool chart?
It was a cool chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too hard to explain to
slopes.
everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You need
but-
it visually.
It's free though,
Yeah.
right? On
Yeah. It's free.
Yeah, it's free.
economy.com.
Is it free? Yeah, it's good. You don't put it on.
Let's
the
make it
banner.
free.
Yeah, let's make it free. Yeah.
It's going to be free now.
Yeah. 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 So it boils down in my mind that you get into second half of 23, maybe mid 23. And the question at that point is whether the labor market's kind of normalizing. Because at the current employment to population ratio for prime age workers, about 80%, a little over, that would be consistent with 3.5% wage
Right.
growth historically, which is exactly where you would want it. That's where we were pre-pandemic, consistent with a full employment economy. But because of the pandemic shifting, creating problems in the labor market, disruptions, it's pushed that Phillips curve up and out. And so that 80% EPOP for prime age workers is not consistent with 5%.
Right.
And what is key to whether we go in recession or not is whether that normalizes and that curve, the Phillips curve, come back to where it was in time, so that we get 3.5% consistent with an EPOP. Also, the interesting thing is the slope of the curve is now more positively sloped. So it suggests you don't need as much of a decline in EPOP to get wage growth coming in, right?
Right.
Than you did before. But that's the crux of the matter in my mind. And I say 50-50 because, I can see it going either way here. That it normalizes sufficiently that wage growth moderates and inflation comes in back to the Fed's target quickly enough that they don't have to start tightening again. But, that's very much a forecast.
So it moderates without additional Fed
Well, you got
action.
4.5. Financial conditions are tight. According to the model, we're pretty close to death at that point anyway.
But you're saying consumers, businesses are self-regulating then, right? They're moderating their
Well,
spending.
Interestingly, they have been, haven't they? Right?
They have some.
They have. Consumers certainly have been, right?
But we'd expect much more.
Yeah,
compared
I
to-
expect that
given
they
this
don't. They
interest
don't
rate
do.
environment.
They provide the resilience so we don't go in, but they don't. They're not spending with abandon, right? They moderate to enough degree that growth slows sufficiently that we get wage growth in and inflation in. So
That is quite a needle thread.
no
right?
doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt. No, I
That
totally
is-
agree.
That's
with
a
you.
narrow
Yeah,
path.
it's a narrow path.
So
I
if you
totally
average
agree
the
with
three
you.
of our probability of recessions, it's still below
No, wait. You're what? At
70.
7? No, that's at
70.
an
18
18-month horizon.
18 months.
70?
Yeah.
70.
I'm at 40.
No, 50
Sorry,
50.
50. Sorry,
It's
I wasn't.
120.
120.
and 70.
Okay, 190
190.
divided by 3.
This is,
That's pretty close.
it's close.
We're
It's like,
getting
yeah.
A whisker.
Fortunately,
we
that's not
weight
the
it-
way any of this works.
The votes are weighted a bit here. I think, so.
Mark's waiting.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Mark's gets
Yeah.
99% weight.
Well, no, well, this is a great way to end, right? Because this is exactly where we are. I mean, in my mind, we're right on the precipice of changing our forecast fundamentally from one that under any scenario is going to be painful, no doubt about
Oh, yeah.
it. Yeah, nobody's debating that.
Yeah.
But whether we go from, and this is maybe more symbolic than real, I'm not sure. Because what's the difference between an economy that's kind of struggling along bottom or one that goes into a mild recession? There's a difference, but,
Yeah, and then demographically, some people
yeah.
already today are feeling
Feels like it's a recession.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
the heat.
Yeah.
So even if we just are growing
Yeah.
below potential,
Yeah, people are going to feel pain.
there are definitely people who are saying this is a recession for
Yeah.
me.
And
Right.
remember, that's what the Fed said. They're going to keep going, even though it's going to cause pain to
Yeah.
households and businesses.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's end with this. What would have to happen for you to change your forecast in a significant way? And for you to lower the odds and for me to raise the odds? What would have to happen?
So some type of resolution to the Russia-Ukraine crisis certainly
That would do it.
Yep.
changes my outlook.
Yeah. It feels like a
positive.
cop-out, though. Something more fundamental than that. No? Yeah.
Beyond that,
You know what I'm saying? In terms of the workings of the economy, something else has to work out. Maybe it goes back to my Phillips curve chart. It just has to work out properly.
yeah, okay. Well, let's take that off the table then, right? Energy kind of normalizes not the factor. I still, it's very difficult in this situation for the Fed not to make an error.
Yeah.
Right. So what else has to happen? That I think it's this this concept of consumers and businesses self-regulating, right?
Yeah.
If they pull back
Okay.
Gradually.
That's
Gradually,
right?
interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
without actually
Yeah.
going off the cliff or being
Going into
forced
the
off the cliff,
bunker.
right?
Yeah. They just keep their hand on the bunker,
Yeah.
cautious,
Right.
circumspect in their spending and investment, but they don't actually go in.
That's right. You're seeing the job growth actually
Yeah.
moderate here.
Yeah.
The Fed doesn't have
Yeah.
to act quite as aggressively. They're
Yeah.
getting what they are
All
looking
right.
for.
Yeah, good point. Okay. What would it take?
I agree with Chris.
Yeah.
And the fact that, the Fed's able to maybe put enough fear in businesses to pull back on hiring,
Yeah.
cool the labor market, but those people that are getting lost or are unemployed find new work quickly, so the unemployment rate doesn't increase. So it's kind of pulling this rabbit out of their hat where they can cool the labor market, which at least historically have had a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
So
So
the
it's almost-
vacancies are the job postings are coming off.
Down quickly, but the unemployment rate, just because the job market's still strong, demand is strong for labor, that those people find work quickly, and we don't see an increase in the unemployment rate.
It comes out of wage growth.
It comes out of wage growth.
By the way, one quick point. You mentioned something to me on the last podcast that the quit rate, the percent of the labor force that's quitting their jobs, a very good indicator of wage growth, future wage growth.
For the employment cost index.
And it is elevated, but it is coming in pretty
It's coming in
fast.
quickly, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a positive thing.
Yeah,
I
it's,
mean, in terms of what we're talking about here.
it's good for a quarter ahead.
Yeah.
But that's, the near term. What's going to matter is the next
No,
3 to
but
6 months,
but
yeah.
the trend lines here
they look good.
They look
They
good.
better, yeah,
But we'll see. I mean,
if it's sustained.
yeah, if it's the same. Yeah. Okay. Well, for me,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the flip of what you said, if anything goes wrong, oil prices go up, we're toast. I had this nightmare of a hurricane blowing through the Gulf, hitting the Texas coast, wiping out a refinery, no capacity, oil, gas. Even if oil prices stay where they are, gasoline prices go to, back up to $5 a gallon. We're done. That undermines confidence. We're going in.
Yeah.
If anything goes wrong on the pandemic, if China, has a bad wave and they shut the whole thing down, supply chains are disrupted again, I think we're toast. And I'd have to say, if my scenario is going to come to pass, we need the monthly inflation numbers to go from, right now it's 0.4, 0.5 per month on core and CPI inflation.
On average.
On average.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little lower time, last
Yeah.
month it was obviously a little higher.
Right.
But we got to get down to, in the next few months, we got to be printing 0.2, 0.3. And then a year from now, we got to be printing 0.1, 0.2.
Right.
Some on core.
I'm just
So-
worried about the next few months because of rents.
Yeah.
And services
But
inflation.
if we, in the next 3-6 months, we're still at, 0.4, 0.5, I think there's no way inflation's going to come in fast enough.
Right.
And then we go down that path where the Fed has to keep
Slam
wrenching.
on the brakes.
Slam on the brakes. Okay. I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, this was fun.
Very
Yeah.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's all in-person thing. Yeah.
Don't get any ideas, not every week.
No. I'm not. Are you kidding me? This is Sarah. This is Sarah's brainchild.
This is good.
Yeah.
So still work from home for you. Remote work.
There's no going back for me. No going back. I'm
Right.
remote entirely forever. Well, it's not very long.
All right.
Yeah. All right. With that, we're going to call it a podcast. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Obviously, we really enjoyed this. Any topics top of mind? Let us know. We'd be very happy to tackle them. If you've got guests you'd like us to invite, let us know. We'll be happy to invite them. But we'll catch you next time. Take care now.